KC Laboratory. Sponsored by Emprise Bank.
It's the KC Laboratory pregame show presented by Emprise Bank. So excited to be on site here in Wichita at Emprise Bank and here with my dear pal, Craig Stout. What is up, my friend?
How's it going, Ken? It's so good to see your beautiful face in person. This is awesome that we get to do this at this Emprise location here in Wichita. They have been a day one sponsor for us all along. So it's so great that we get to come down here, meet some of the people that we've, spoken to behind the scenes and stuff like that, and get to really interact because we really appreciate them. If you like this show, if you're listening to this show, it's because of Emprise. So thank them very much. We really appreciate it. And we wanted to show them by coming down here and doing a little episode in the lobby of the Wichita location, the headquarters.
Look, Emprise Bank has been our partner in Possible.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you are, any banking needs that you guys have, trust me, Emprise Bank will take care of you. And, it's been a phenomenal time getting to work with them. Wonderful people here. And I'm thrilled to be, getting to do this on site to just, kind of say thank you to them as well for, all they've done for us. We're so appreciative of them and what they've done to make KCSN what it is today. We're just getting started here at KCSN. It's our first pregame show in our existence. And it feels so good to finally be talking about a sort of real football game here, right? I mean, we're a few weeks away from it counting, but this is still a very important time for your Kansas City Chiefs. Getting an opportunity to see the 2021 version of this team. Your first real glimpses against somebody other than than each other. Yeah,
I mean, they get to go full go. I mean, even though it is a preseason game and, they're not going to bust out all the schemes and everything that we are expecting that the Chiefs offense and defense are going to run, and same with the 49ers, they do get to tackle. They get to go live. They get to hit. They get to run full speed. It's not going to be an 80% thing where they're trying not to hurt a teammate. They get to finally physically put the pads on, go out there and do it. So even though it doesn't, quote unquote, matter for the standings, it does matter for a lot of people, for a lot of new pieces, and for a lot of special teamers as well. So it really is still an important game. It just feels good to get to talk about real football again and not just have speculation and talking about OTAs and camp and stuff. Like, we get to talk about live football starting tonight. Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about any NFL game. It doesn't matter if it's preseason, regular season, does not matter. Week 17 and you're out of contention. You cannot step onto that field and not play at 100%. So even though these guys, these guys aren't going to be straining for 4 quarters, you're not going to see Patrick Mahomes for 4 quarters. You are going to see a version of Patrick Mahomes that has to be alert and aware in the same kind of setting he would in any game. I mean, because you have to be that kind of focused, that kind of intense. You have to strain on any given play, because if you don't, you could hurt yourself. That's how players get hurt. If they aren't giving 100% in any situation, that's when some of these guys potentially do get hurt.
Absolutely. And every time you say strain, I hear Eric Bieniemy's voice say it instead, just so you know.
Am I supposed to do my EB impression now?
Do not do your EB impression.
Look, I do a pretty good job.
No. I mean, it's just, it is that though. You want to see guys that are doing the right things.
Yeah.
It's not about necessarily the result in this game.
No.
It is about the process. It is about making sure that the verbiage is there. Everybody's on the same page. I think even Mitchell Schwartz said that he was really looking forward to watching the offensive line and even how they break from the huddle, how the cohesion of all of that. Like, that's the important stuff that we're learning today. The result definitely matters. Obviously, we want Orlando Brown to protect Patrick Mahomes' backside against a good defensive line, but I think it matters more the execution of what Andy Reid and Andy Heck and Steve Spagnuolo and Eric Bieniemy, all those guys want to see on the field. So I do think that that's where it really, really matters for a lot of these starters that we've seen and been talking about all offseason.
The process is crucial.
Yes.
And it's there's such the organized chaos of the National Football League, what it takes to get organized to just get play calls off in an efficient manner. People don't realize that there's so much organization that happens between, game days, and it's, the mechanics of the coaching staff, who's relaying the plays, who's calling the plays, how is that communication occurring? What happens? Sometimes some coaches will do this. They'll create situations during the preseason. Maybe they pretend like one of the mics isn't, or one of the headsets isn't working for one of the coaches. So now how are you adapting to that situation, for one or two plays on the fly, trying to get some of these mechanics adjusted? Because it's not just the players on the field, it's everybody. It's the entire full reveal of this thing. You've got, there's a whole process to this, but going back to what you said, just on the field version too is just so crucial in getting 5 offensive linemen that you're going to see tonight, left to right, a brand new offensive line protecting Patrick Mahomes, not an overcorrection by Brett Veach, but an aggressive correction to make sure that the best player in the world is well protected. They've got a lot of learning to do between them and Mahomes, the communication, but like you said, getting in and out of the huddle, all those things are very important, which is why I expect to see Patrick Mahomes potentially play close to an actual quarter of football here.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, about how Andy Reid will say, it's a quarter, but in reality, it's a drive. And, it'll be a very vanilla drive or something like that. We might actually get to see a little bit more, especially since a guy like Nick Bosa is not probably playing for the 49ers tonight. So you're a little less worried, and it's still an elite defensive line. Don't get me wrong. It's a very good defensive line, but you're a little less worried about that guy coming off the edge and destroying your quarterback. So maybe you leave him in a little bit longer, have Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Joe Tooney and Orlando Brown, veterans, and Lucas Niang really get used to Patrick Mahomes in a game day setting. It's one thing to try and simulate that in camp. It's quite another to have that in a game day settings, the preparation that on the field, how you're doing all of that. It matters. It really, really matters. And I do think that we will get to see that full quarter, and it's good. I mean, they need that work together. They need that communication, especially with a rookie center. I trust that Creed Humphrey is going to be able to do it. Don't get me wrong, but they definitely still need that cohesion. They need to be able to build on that as they go forward here.
Even little things like a hard count.
Yeah.
It's there's so many that's what makes this game so beautiful, is the intricate details and everything associated and the habits that have to be created for teams to execute at a high level. And it even comes down to stuff like the hard count, and so it's going to be good to see, how this group performs. It's going to be, one of the things I always notice is it seems like some of the concepts that maybe the Chiefs leaned on the year prior wind up in the preseason, because one thing about Andy Reid is such an organic offense. It's such a, growing thing. He's always got new concepts that he's introducing every single year. Obviously there's some staples. How they may get into those staples changes all the time. But I just remember, I think it was Patrick Mahomes' first year when we knew he was going to be the starter. And, the Chiefs had done, they Alex Smith's final year here, a lot of the bubble RPOs, a lot of the bunch, a lot of the condensed formations, a lot of those looks, those were things that you saw them running a lot in his first preseason when he was the quarterback. There always seems to be, this version of the offense we see tonight might at times look a little bit like some of the stuff that we saw last year during the actual season when this counted, because Andy's always got stuff that he's working. He's always tweaking concepts. So some of the carryover is some of the things I'm going to be fascinated to see on the offensive side of the football.
And I do think that we may see some carryover with maybe some more 12 personnel. We know that the Chiefs protected Mike Rimmers a little bit, with some of their blocking schemes. That's fine. That's not trying to say anything wrong about Rimmers there. But with Lucas Niang out there, yet another young guy, maybe a guy that's still developing as an offensive lineman, you might get to see a more of an inline tight end off of his shoulder just to kind of help and protect and make sure that they keep Patrick Mahomes upright, or Chad Henne if Lucas Niang does stay in to run with the twos a little bit just to get those extra reps and things like that. But they did run a little bit more 12 personnel last year, just kind of trying to protect and get Travis Kelce free and all of that. We'll see. I could definitely see them coming out, trying to do that, work in San Francisco's base defense a little bit more, and try and see if they can adjust, get those angles. Matty talked about it, a couple, in the podcast earlier this week, trying to get those offensive linemen firing off the ball to the second level, help eliminate some of those linebackers, take good angles, things like that. You want to have the base defense. You want to have as much of a realistic simulation as possible. So I can definitely see maybe heavy inside zone, 12 personnel, lots of things that we saw last year rather than maybe some of the things that they're going to this year.
I mean, you've spent all summer talking about some of the gap scheme, and I wouldn't be surprised if they ran a little bit of that too today. I mean, you want to see it live against another opponent. And I believe, we talked about this. I think, they ran it a little bit late in the season. I think against Buffalo, right? I mean, we saw a little bit there. So it's not like, they haven't put it on tape before. It's still something that they can get a look at and all that kind of stuff. I am interested to see how many dropbacks Patrick Mahomes actually takes, because you saw last year, especially late in the season, the back half of the season, the Chiefs really did a lot to help mitigate, the risk of him just dropping back consistently. They moved the pocket a lot, quick game, run pass options. The traditional dropbacks. I was looking at, I remember charting the Buffalo game and kind of just looking at the nature of the play calling that the Chiefs called leading up to the Super Bowl, and they really did a good job of forcing. Not forcing. They did a good job of protecting Mahomes in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
Like as far as trying to adjust the scheme to keep get him out of the pocket, moving him away, and all that kind of stuff. I'm interested to see if that's the case tonight. Is it going to be, maybe are they trying to protect him a little bit as they're kind of getting their feet wet with this new offensive line, or are they just want them to drop back so that they can get the kind of picture of what they've got, up front in front of him? I think that's going to be something for me that's at least worth monitoring as well.
Yeah. Yeah, up front and in the secondary, with those wide receivers and things like that. They do need to, examine those secondary pass catchers, as we've talked about this entire offseason so far. But I want to move on to the defense.
Absolutely. I was gonna try to transition for you, because I know I could see you're starting to twitch a little bit. I don't know if that's showing up on the camera. I don't think it's just the newborn. You're kind of just starting to itch to talk about the defense.
Yes. Yeah, a little bit. I am very excited to see this defensive line against this 49ers offensive line. Now, they're going to be a little bit depleted.
Yeah.
It looks like Trent Williams is not going to play. It looks like Eric Kush is not going to play. So I do think that they're going to be down a couple pieces. I think we should expect with, the types of one-on-one matchups. Steve Spagnuolo's not going to come out here and be as blitz heavy as we expect. He's going to keep some of that stuff, close to the vest, for later on in the season. So I do think that we're going to see a lot more one-on-one matchups, and hoping that his guys can win those one-on-one matchups. They should, with this offensive line being a little bit depleted. This should be a situation where the Chiefs pass rushers can come in. Jaron Reed, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, and then the other guy, whoever that may be, whether it's dime and they've got one of their extra edges in, or whether that's Tershawn Wharton, maybe even a little bit of Derek Nottie pushing the pocket.
Yeah.
I do want to see those guys win and be successful, because as we saw last year, the 4-man pass rush needed to be tweaked. Spagnuolo had to blitz a lot more. We had to see a lot more of that pressure coming from the secondary, from the second level, to try and create havoc and create pressure. I want to see that front four win against an offensive line that, frankly, with those guys out, they should.
Frankly, you say?
Frankly,
you say? Definitely. This is a front that has kind of been revamped a little bit, not necessarily entirely from personnel. Obviously, Jaron Reed in the mix. That's one player, but it's Chris Jones reworking his body and the Chiefs formulating a plan to utilize him up and down that offensive or that defensive line. It's small adjustments and tweaks there. Like, that's what's more fascinating to me is, how this group, looks, it's weird. There are some micro stories. This roster is pretty well established. Let's be honest. There's not a bajillion different people that are, really realistically having a shot to make this football team, but there's still micro storylines within this team in a lot of different ways. Like we talked about on the lab this week, the offensive line, a lot of, there's a lot of small stories and, a big picture story just up front. But, Frank Clark coming back, looking a little bit bigger than he has in recent memory.
Play with power. Yes.
Playing with that. Chris Jones, his adjustment, his body being adjusted a little bit here. These kind of things are just so interesting to me. And we're getting our first glimpse of this newly revamped group up front. If they just go out and dominate from Jump Street, the Chiefs fans are going to be losing their mind.
Oh yeah,
they're going to be booking their tickets to this, their flights to the Super Bowl, and it's, we're going to have to start talking to BJ about how we're all getting down there too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So keep that in mind, buddy. I am also very interested in how that linebacker rotation looks with Willie Gay out.
Yeah,
I want to see Nick Bolton get some really good live reps there. He's probably going to be thrust into a little bit more of the will role. Let's see if that coverage, as we've seen, he's, kind of been undercutting some stuff from the quarterbacks, picking some balls off in camp. That's very good. Let's see it translate. If he does that in the preseason, there's lots of things that you can hang your hat on from that. So if he's able to do that, that's really good. And Anthony Hitchens playing a little bit lighter. Colin, we know what he can do pre-snap.
Yeah.
I want to see that advancement, post-snap. So if he looks really good against a vanilla offense here, especially with Juszczyk out, and they don't have that weapon in the backfield, then all of a sudden maybe we can see the Chiefs linebacking core maybe isn't the biggest weakness that we think it is. Yeah.
I have a theory, Craig. Mm-hmm. I think Kyle Shanahan's a little bit more elaborate than we think tonight. I think he wants some confidence. I think he wants to put some points on the board, and I think he's going to do it with Trey Lance. I think it's going to be like it's not a slight, maybe a subconscious slight in his head, but I think Trey Lance is coming out guns blazing.
Oh, man.
And I think he's going to set him on fire and be like, look, we lost the Super Bowl with Jimmy G. That's not happening the next time we play. And he can think that all he wants, but I do think that he might flex a little bit when Trey Lance gets on the field.
Oh, I think we're going to see a lot of read option stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of move in the pocket out of Trey Lance. I think that's really going to stress the second team defense here. So I think you might see a bit of a change because the offense is going to change. That San Francisco offense is going to change with Trey Lance in there. So I think you are going to see a little bit of a change with the Chiefs playing some vanilla coverages, not trying to do anything sophisticated, but it's that second team. If they look good against Trey Lance, against a lot of different looks here, you can start to get a little excited maybe about Devin Key, maybe about some of these other guys, some of these guys that we are projecting to be special teamers, but, maybe they can contribute on defense a little bit more than we think they might.
Craig, I want one guy on offense and defense that you are excited to see.
I have one guy on offense, Trey Smith. I got this Trey train rolling, baby. Choo-choo. I want him to look good.
All aboard. It's always Locomotive Joe's with us.
It is. We're going to print a bunch of conductor hats because if he looks good tonight, there's going to be lots more people that need to be helping drive this train. And then on defense, I really want to see how Mike Hughes looks on the outside.
Yeah.
I think that we've heard him getting a lot of outside looks. So that's the one that I'm really curious about because I think he projects a little bit more in the slot. But if he looks good outside tonight, we'll see.
Give me Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see him playing. I want to see how he looks. I'm excited to get a look at him on defense. I'll go DeAndre Baker, Mike Hughes' counterpart in the competition for cornerback 3. This is a big competition. Both these guys looking to try to get some opportunities here with this football team. And one of them's primed. I mean, both of them are primed to play. One of them's primed to really make a significant impact on this football team. Which one wins out first is going to be fascinating. We start finding out tonight. Yep. This has been a lot of fun doing a show here at Emprise Bank here in Wichita. It's been a lot of fun being across the table from you, Craig. Again, thank you so much to Emprise Bank and all they've done to support KC Sports Network, our partner in Possible, one of our day ones, and we are so appreciative and grateful for them. We're grateful for you for listening, guys. Thank you so much.
Stay tuned for the post-game show. We will break things down, what you've seen in the game. We will be back to break down the post-game show, give you the reasons why the things that we saw tonight mattered and why they maybe didn't. But we'll get that to you. So stay tuned after the show or after the game. We'll be right there to break it down with you.
All right. We will catch y'all later after the game. Enjoy the Kansas City Chiefs finally back on the field in game jerseys. We'll catch you later.